Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles of Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers out there pushing and spreading the gospel of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai to the four corners of the world. Now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, I just wanted to do a quick lesson on the book of Jeremiah, the 6th. I'm going to bring out the book of Jeremiah, the 6th chapter, and then I'm going to get in this article right here. A very beautiful article, very, very beautiful article. And Lord willing, this is edifying. So beginning with the book of Jeremiah, the 6th chapter, it says, verse 16, this is what the Lord Yahweh says. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. But you said, we will not walk in it, right? And this is the mindset of our nation right now. Whereas the Lord is reaching out to them through his men to be vigilant and to be mindful of how they walk and live, right? And to take care to not provoke him to anger. They reject those warnings, right? And they reject those wise words. They have strayed from the path of righteousness, from that ancient paths, right? A path that will give them rest for their souls, and they have chosen to walk on a wicked path. Verse 17 says, I appointed watchmen over you and said, listen to the sound of the trumpet, but you said, we will not listen, right? And this is the height of the foolishness of Israel. Because this trumpet here isn't a trumpet of merrymaking, right? This isn't a marching band trumpet. This isn't the kind of trumpet that you hear going on at the game and at the fucking Super Bowls and all that. That's not the kind of trumpet that's going on. This is a trumpet of war, right? You read about it in the book of Joel, the 2nd chapter. It says, blow ye a trumpet, sound an alarm, and my holy mountain is a trumpet to tell people, right, to say, hey, there's something serious happening outside these walls, and you have to get up, right? Let the mighty men wake up, or let even the civilians wake up and start preparing for war. But the nation of Israel won't listen. It says, therefore, hear, you nations, who are witness, observe what will happen to them, right? And so this time it's not just going to be a judgment against Jake, but this is going to be a judgment against the entire world, right? That's why the scripture says, woe unto thee, woe unto the inhabitants of the world, right? And so this is this is prophecy playing in front of our very eyes, right? And the Wadi Bahashem Yahshai for appealing to our joy to the point where now the ministry has been so easy to where we don't really have to, stress that people use their imaginations. All we have to do is go through news articles, and literally, I didn't even spend 3 seconds, and bang, articles like this keep popping up. You know what I'm saying? And so, Thawadi Bahashem Yahshai for showing himself and working towards the establishment of the kingdom of heaven and working towards the judgment, right, of this place. And so before I read this article, let's just get a bit of understanding in the book of Ezekiel, 38th chapter. So let me link that to Revelations. Right? So the book of Revelations, verse 20, it says the judgment of Satan, right? When the judgment of Esau is at an end, what's going to happen? It says when 1,000 years are over, Satan shall be released from his prison, right? And 1,000 years was from the time of the downfall of the Roman Empire up until the Renaissance era. That was roughly right 1,000 years, right? And it says and in the 1500s, during the Renaissance era, Satan was loose, right? Esau, Edom, the so-called, Europeans, the white man, he came into power, right? That's when he started having influence in the world. That was the beginning of his dominance over the entire world. But prior to that, right, he was bound. That 1,000 years between the Renaissance and the Roman Empire, he was bound. And you had Jake, right, the so-called, black people ruling Europe at that time. And when they went down, Esau came up upon that point. Now, I use these terms, white and black, I use them loosely, right? Because, this thing is not about color, it's about nationality. And there are some confusion of faces in there, but again, I hope, that's made clear. So verse 8, it says, and will go out to deceive the nation. So when he's released from his prison, he's already been released from his prison. And up until the time of the Renaissance era, up until Babylon, he has been what? He's been running wild. And like Job in 9:24 says, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked, and he has possessed the earth for all that time up until now. So it says he will go out and deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth. And when that's done, it says Gog and Magog, and to gather them to battle. In number, they are like the sands. Matter of fact, no, why am I reading this? Let's do the KJV. It's much easier. It says, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. Right, comma. Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle. Right? The number of whom is as the sands of the sea. And they went up the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about, which is the land of Jerusalem, the land of Israel, then the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. So that is the scripture talks about that Palestine being the area of what? Of great judgment, the valley of Jehoshaphat, the arena in which World War III is fought. And so when that event takes place, when Gog and Magog, which is Russia as we know it today, when they are in a position, when they are in the spirit of making war, the Lord is going to have things escalate to the point where World War III kicks off. It's fought in the land of Israel, and then what? Fire from God from heaven devours them. And that comes by way of the missiles that they shoot into each other. The Spirit of the Lord will be in them to try to take out each other with thermonuclear missiles. And the chariot of the Lord, the vehicles, the so-called UFOs, will swoop down and also shoot lasers upon them. And it says, and the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beasts and the false prophets are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So this is the downfall of Esau's kingdom. It comes by way of Gog and Magog. So now let's look back into the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. It says a prophecy about Gog and Magog and future invasion of Israel, right? Or more specifically, the land of Israel. And so, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Gog and Magog, Gog, at least in the land of Magog, is Russia, right? And he's the chief prince, means the dominant power, right, over Meshech and Tubal, which today we know as Turkey, right? So in that area, they dominate, right? The whole of Europe, Russia is like the dominant power. And really, without America, NATO really can't survive Russia. Verse 3 says, verse 4, it says, I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shield, all of them handling swords. You got Persia, today as we know as Iran, but it's not really just limited to Iran, right? You have people in India, all these nations, they're all going to join together. That's why you have the BRICS. You got Ethiopia, you got Libya. This represents Africa, nations in Africa, right? Ethiopia as well, with them, all of them with shields and helmet, right? Gomer and all his bands in the house of Togomar of the north quarters, and all his bands, right? So, and many people with thee. And what are they doing? It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them, right? And these nations are going to be inspired by Russia to what? To form an alliance, a coalition to come up against what? Babylon. They're going to come against Israel, the Israelis, and they're going to come against America, right? And the scripture says that they will prevail in so much that the whole of Palestine will be dissolved. You can read about that in the book of Revelations, the 14th chapter. And it also talks about the whole of Babylon being a desolate wilderness, okay? So now that we have the narrative, we have refreshed our minds on the narrative. I have no doubt the brothers already know this, but on the off chance that nobody knows about this, it's good to get into it whenever possible. It says Chinese President Xi Jinping warned the world was facing a choice between peace or war as he held his country's largest ever military parade at the Tiananmen Square, flanked by Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un. The lavish event, to mark 80 years since Japan's defeat at the end of World War II, has been largely shunned by Western leaders, with Putin and Kim's pariahs in the West due to the Ukraine war and Kim's nuclear ambitions, the guest of honor. I always do this. It says designed to project China's military might and diplomatic clout. It also comes as U.S. President Donald Trump trade tariffs and volatile policymaking strain its relationships with allies and rivals alike. And this is the work of the Lord, right? As you see, the coalition in the East keeps getting stronger and stronger. Russia, China, right? India, you got Brazil, really all the countries in South America. You got the countries in Africa, right? Flocking to China. You got you got Asia. You got like you said, North Korea. You have all these nations, right, who have formed a coalition in the East. Their bonds are getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And you have the alliance in the West keeps getting weaker and weaker. That is why I highlighted that they are doing it, right? It comes at a time. It also comes as U.S. President Donald Trump's trade tariffs and volatile policy makings strain its relations with allies and rivals alike. What happens when the allies of the West decide, hey, F this, we're going to go with the winner, and they ally themselves with the East? At that point, we know that Babylon's destruction is at hand. And all you jakes out there that are praying for Babylon to continue, you are sick, man, and Mosai is going to kill all of you guys because there is no wisdom in you. What should be done unto you, man? At this point, your mind is completely gone. It is irreparable. It's unsalvageable. Trump, in a post on Truth Social as the parade kicked off, highlighted the United States' role in helping China secure its freedom from Japan. Please give my warmest regard to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America, Trump added. Hey, they know, man. They know that that's ultimately what's going on. And while the public, really, it's not just the public, the nations know what time it is. It's just Jake. Jake is the only fucking retards that are left on the planet Earth. They are the ones who have no clue what's going on. There's a conspiracy. One that no one can at this point call a theory anymore. It's no longer a theory. It's all brought to light. And Jake is always the last one to know. Trump had earlier told reporters that he did not see the parade as a challenge to the United States and reiterated his very good relationship with Xi, the pride of Babylon. What does the scripture say? I shall sit, I shall not be as a widow. But the scripture says that in that very day, in this very moment where they think they're invincible, the Lord will bring them down and they shall fall as lightning, as Yahushua beheld them. Let me get this in right now. I always like to bring this out. This is the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 49. It says, I am come. Matter of fact, let's do it in NIV or NOT. It says, this is Yahushua speaking. I have come to bring fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to undergo, and what constraint I am under until it is completed. And Yahushua has completed this terrible baptism. And so what do you think is left for him? His wish, which is that the earth be consumed in fire, so that the kingdoms may fall and his everlasting kingdom may be established. I hope this was edifying. In closing, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Recha Kodash, Shalom Yahweh, Bahashem Shabrak, Tham to Akims and Aquos that are listening in truth and sincerity. May the blessing of blessing be upon the house. And until next time, Shalom.